This is going to be a video on how to remove brainwashing. It is important that we know how to remove brainwashing because so many people today who are liberal are completely brainwashed. Therefore, we must know how to do it. I have been studying brainwashing for months and years, and this is my summary on the best way to remove brainwashing. The technique is separation, and separation will provide three things. First, you are separating them from the brainwashing itself, which means they're no longer getting the brainwash repeated. Second, you're removing them from the cult group with all of its peer pressure, emotional, and physical abuse as well. So you separate them from those things, they can begin to think for themselves. The third aspect of separation is putting them in new environments where they see new things, meet new people. They can see the world. There are other ways to live, other ways to be, other ways to think. So by separating the brainwashed person from the brainwashing environment, all those three things will occur, and over a period of months they will come to see that they have been brainwashed previously, and they will understand freedom of thought, reality, better ways of living, and so forth. Now we're going to start first with the ideas of the physical cult environment because that's easiest to understand. Later on we're going to look at the situation of the media propaganda and people who live in their own online echo chambers and so on, which is a bit different, but the brainwashing principles are still the same and removing is still the same. So we start with a physical environment of a cult, a compound estate area. There are people living in this area, let's say, 20, 30, 50, 100, and there's a fence around it. And these people, that's all they know. That's their entire world. Now, the brainwashing people at the top are dictators. They teach them things, they tell them things. And they say, if you want to be a good person, then you believe this. If you want to be a good person, then you do that. Whether it's to be a good person to get into heaven or just being a good person overall, for the good of the others is common, for the good of the others, for the good of the state, all those kinds of things. But really, it's not good for others. All the brainwashing messages and behaviors are only to benefit the dictators. Okay? So there's one dictator or a few dictators at the top. They're imposing their beliefs. They say it's for the good of the members, but in reality, it's only benefiting those at the top. Okay? That's how that's working. Now, people are in this environment, brainwashed day after day after day after day. It's all they hear all the time. They don't hear anything else. And it keeps being onto them. There's a variety of brainwashing techniques, but it's a daily thing. Okay? Then you have the group environment, which is other people have been brainwashed. They believe the same thing. Then it becomes peer pressure. You are not a good person unless you believe these things. You don't care about others in the community unless you believe these things and do these behaviors. And then if it's not just peer pressure to get you to because people want to be a good person and be seen as a good person. So peer pressure is one, but it's also emotional abuse, physical abuse, threats of physical abuse, threats of emotional abuse, and actual emotional abuse, actual physical abuse if you don't conform. Okay? And then because you're in a compound, there's no other media, there's no other persons, you don't know any better. All right, is it just me? Maybe I'm a bad person. So I guess I better believe. And those are the ones who question. Other people just don't even question. And you get this, it's a continuous cycle of all these things. So what you do is you physically remove several people from the compound, from the brainwashing. Put them into a nice resort park area. Okay? First of all, there's no onslaught of brainwashing. None of this daily brainwashing. Soon, their mind is able to receive other information. See, because before it's like a constant raindrops. Brainwashing on your brain, you can't even think for yourself because it's so much there. It's like in your face. You can't, storm blowing in your face, you can't resist it. It's hard to resist. So now with the brainwashing actually gone, your brain can actually start thinking for itself. And the physical abuse is taken away. There's no threats of physical abuse. So you can actually start to think, start to have an idea, start to ask questions without being physically abused. Then their mind, it now actually frees. That freezes, it opens up. See, there's no closed down, there's actually openness, less fear, opens up. Now they're open to new ideas. Now they can begin to think. Now they're open to their own thoughts. They can have their own thoughts, which they didn't before. They're free to think. Their brain expands into the world. They receive information, which they didn't before. They weren't able to actually physically receive it. Now they can. Now they're also in new environments, and they can see new lifestyles, new ideas, new people, all sorts of things. Until finally, it's all there. They see the new lifestyles, they see the new beliefs, they see everything. There are new ways of living, and like conservatives, they see new conservative beliefs, new conservative lifestyles, and they're open to it. Okay? So that's the summation of this, how we do this. Okay? We separate them from the propaganda media. We separate them from the echo chambers. We separate them from the negative impacts. Then put them in environments where they're allowed to think freely. And then they can start to think freely for themselves. Now that's how it works in a physical cult environment where they're inside communities. But the same thing happens with the liberals and the brainwashed media and the social media and the other related things. It's a different approach, but the same approach. We have to somehow physically remove them and give them new environments. Now that'll be a different topic for a different video, but the main thing is separate them. Separate them from the media, separate them from the brainwashing, separate them from the cults, separate them from the group peer pressure and threats of physical abuse. Put them in new environments where they can see new things, learn new things, see different lifestyles. Well, that is how we eliminate brainwashing in our society.